Hello, everybody. In the coming weeks, CIB will be putting out quarterly training to hopefully increase your awareness on some investigative topics. Each of these training segments should take no more than 10 or 15 minutes to be completed. After this initial video, each of these topics will have originated from the officers within our department. Sergeants were asked a few weeks back about what short training topics you would like to hear about, and we were provided several great ideas to get us started. Going forward, however, if there's a topic or technique that you'd like to understand a little bit better, please reach out to me or one of the sergeants and we'll try and put something together for one of the upcoming trainings. Before I get started with my training topic, I'm going to spend just a moment to discuss case assignments. Many of you have likely already received a case back from me since I've been in this position. If there's very little investigation left before charges are sent to the prosecutor, and it's a relatively simple case, these are the ones that I'll probably send back to the original officer. Typically, this might mean that there's an interview or two left to be completed, but otherwise it should be very little left to do. If on one of these cases you are unable to complete the work for whatever reason, reach out to me or one of the detectives and we'll certainly try and help you get everything finalized. I can't imagine that there's going to be too many cases assigned back to patrol, but just to make sure, please look in the P1 in the messages, as that's where the assignments are going to show up. I won't necessarily send an email on every one of these. So moving on to the training portion of this video, I'm going to spend just a couple minutes talking about report writing, particularly some of the things that I'm going to be looking for as I'm going over the reports every day. While it is no doubt one of the least desirable parts of our job, it is also one of the most important. Your reports are necessary for documentation of everything related to criminal prosecution, as well as many civil processes. A good report will hopefully make your jobs easier in the long run while providing necessary services to our community. I must also start out by saying we have a lot of officers that are writing very good reports. Keep up the good work, and for you, there might be very little you're going to take from this video. So the first thing I'll talk about is detail. We've all had those busy days where we want to go home on time, and we know we have several reports to finish, maybe some evidence to put in. These are oftentimes the days where we skip details in our reports, and we're just doing everything we can to make sure we get out of here on time. For example, maybe in an assault report, we might simply say, Buck hit Doe several times, but a more detailed and definitely a much preferred approach, the report might say Buck punched Doe 3 times in the stomach with his right fist, followed by 1 time in the right side of the jaw with his left fist. Now, I get this is an extreme example, but the second one certainly provides a much clearer picture of what happened, and it will also likely lead to a greater chance of prosecution and probably likely conviction. Unfortunately, I see many examples every single day about the first one where details are skipped and it's very lacking. So these are the ones that we just need to clean up a little bit. Even if we don't anticipate a case is going to go anywhere, it still only takes a minute or 2 at the most to put those extra details in your report to make them much more professional. Related to adequate details is thoroughness. Especially in more serious cases, we should be doing everything we can to obtain as much evidence as we can. While it might not always be doable while on the initial call, we should be talking to all involved people and witnesses and including their statements in your report. We should be getting photos if relevant, as well as any other items of evidentiary value. I've already seen several cases where charges were forwarded, or even some where an arrest was made, where we had no more evidence than just the victim's statement. We had no physical evidence, no witnesses, no suspect statement, nothing. Something as simple as what a neighbor heard could corroborate or disprove what the victim said. So be inquisitive. Find out as much evidence as you can. It's only going to help your case. If the case requires assistance, again, don't be afraid to reach out to shift investigators or detectives as necessary. If it's one of the more complicated cases, these will probably get reassigned anyway, so we'll clean up some of those loose ends there. So the last thing I'm going to talk about is just making sure that we have current information. Needless to say, this is nothing new, and everybody in here has heard this numerous times, but we need to make sure that we're getting current information in our reports. We should minimally be asking for a current address, a phone number, and place of employment or school, as well as the obvious stuff such as date of birth and social security number. It also never hurts to have current physicals such as height and weight, hair color, as these things change as a person grows older. It's amazing how many times that we might have a person that's 5'4", 100 pounds, and then when we're counting them, they're really 5'10" and 200 pounds. So please get that current information. Also, if a vehicle was involved in the offense, it should be included in the property section of your P1 report. This makes it much easier in the future for completing follow-up, or if we're doing intelligence building, or perhaps if you're just looking for somebody in the future. If you just put it in your narrative, there's no way to look at that afterwards or find that in any sort of a search. So please make sure that information is getting put in the property section of your report. I'm guessing everybody's heard enough for now, so thank you all for what you do. If you have any questions or concerns, please reach out to either myself or any of the detectives. Have a good day.